Hello and welcome to another episode of A Coffee with Chris, the social media show that helps you create impact, as always brought to you in association with our charity partners, 𝗖𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀, who help local people affected by cancer, and Game Plan Coffee, Paddy and Scott's special coffee partnership with the High Performance Foundation. Every single one of these bags that you buy helps them support the work of the High Performance Foundation, funding programs that help young people across the UK develop the mindset and tools to thrive in life, not just survive it. So if you're like me and you are addicted, quite frankly, to coffee, literally they go on cue right now as we speak, and you believe in giving young people a fair shot at their own high performance, grab yourself a bag of high performance, of Game Plan coffee today. The link is everywhere, all over the social posts accompanying this podcast. Of course, this podcast is always proudly sponsored by Oliver Hill of Hill Coaching Company, Gemma Crane from the best HR business in the world. Yes, that's right, Mindset HR, and Callum Howard from Limitless Film and Media. Formalities done and out the way. Let's welcome today's guest, shall we? He goes by the name of, formerly Oliver, but I call him Ozzy Sykes. Now, Ozzy is an AI specialist, and he specializes in helping founders and teams implement AI workflows that improve efficiency, support lead generation, and free up time for higher value work. Ozzy, welcome to A Coffee with Chris. AI chat, it's absolutely everywhere right now. Why is this an important, why is this conversation going to be an important one for small business owners today?
Yeah, totally. Well, firstly, thank you for having me, Chris. It's quite nice to see you do that whole spiel in one go, mate. That's very impressive. What makes AI a hot topic right now is a great question. In direct with small businesses, it's so important because as a small business owner, you probably haven't got enough money to take the risk to hire someone, right? And whether that be in whatever dimension of the business it may come into tuition with, and we also have our own blind spots, right? We don't know everything that we don't know. So there's different use cases for AI in our businesses where we can just go and either upgrade our knowledge, further our education with different formalities, or even just look at things from a different perspective. I mean, I take you back to 14 months ago. I was taking a walk around Case to St Edmunds, and now I am talking to ChatGPT voice notes. It just the new update launched, and I was like so fascinated by this tool. I was thinking to myself, what can you do for me? What is the whole point of why you are now everywhere on social media? And from that moment, by asking all those indirect questions to that one particular tool, I was in this like loophole of just thinking, okay, well, this has opened my eyes to something that I could never imagine would be in my generation of my lifetime. So it's that opening door moment where we think to ourselves, wow, this is not going away anytime soon. So how can we blend in and at least get 1% out of it at the very minimal that can help us on a day-to-day values?
Love that, my friend. What a great place to start. This AI business and how you've rided the crest of that way very much reminds me of kind of the dawn of social media, and I very much rided the crest of that wave. So I'm so stoked and excited for you to kind of lead the charge on that front. Certainly locally, I don't know anyone better than you to actually implement AI within business. And I want to kind of go to you on the overwhelm, right? Let's be honest, because everyone's getting inundated with AI, everything, tools, techniques, alleged experts, fakeness, inauthentic content, AI slop, etc.
Yeah.
Where is the best place to start for someone that's within the business arena that wants to do what your kind of tagline does and free up time for higher value tasks? Where do they begin? Because I'm sure you would agree, Ozzy, it's so much more than ChatGPT now, isn't it?
It's overwhelming. I mean, on a day-to-day value, I feel like it's a full-time job just trying to keep up with the pace of AI. Like I'll be completely honest with you. I'm in it every single day. I'm having conversations 24/7 around it, and still I feel behind. So the amounting pressure on people just in the average day life of just thinking to myself, I need to get started with it, but how? Like, where do I even look for advice? And for the first time in our lifetime, we can talk to, like I said, we can talk to a platform that will give us the answers how to get better at using that platform. Like, that's unheard of. In e-commerce, we can't speak to our physical product of how we can get better at selling this physical product. We just can't do it, right? So the way that I've kind of come to tuition with how you can get better with it. What is on your diary list on a Monday morning that's still there on a Friday? What is that one thing that you're putting beside yourself to think, listen, I don't want to do this. This is like, it has to be done every single week. It's part of my job description. It's part of my remit, or my boss has given me something, or I know I need to go and do something that's going to further progress the business. I know it's important. We all do. But how can I actually get myself to go and do it? And that's where you can go and speak to these tools, ChatGPT, Claude. There's so many out there. But there's also different ways you can go and do it away from just speaking to it. They actually have now an ability to go and take action for you. So a really simple case scenario for this, right, is if I wanted to go and reach out to all the great business owners that we have here in Norfolk, and I wanted to go and speak to them around AI as a topic, instead of me spending all day long and all week or paying someone to go and find leads for me on these certain people, I can ask a AI platform to go and scrape all of that lead list for me. And then I have all their contact details. And this is the bit that I want to get into and chew the fat on with you, because what happens next is a really important process of how not to use AI. But the importance of gaining that information on how you can then go and speak to them is super, super important.
That's really interesting, Ozzy, because you've teed me up nicely there. It's as if you've seen the show notes for this conversation. You're very well prepared. Because I think everyone's thinking it. They're thinking, well, that's really cool. That saves me lots of time. I can build lists and then I can get out to them. We've all had it on LinkedIn, Ozzy, certainly one platform of many, where we've received a message, a note with connection. It's inauthentic. It's not personalized. You just know that it's been done by a tool, and it's an instant disqualifier, get out of there, get out of my hair sort of response, right? Where I'm concerned, Ozzy, that someone will use an AI tool, they won't use it properly, and it'll actually detract from their business. So how does one use an AI tool properly and critically? How do we not lose that personal touch that creates so much more trust?
Yeah, great question. When I used to be in sales, so 14 months ago, before I found AI, I was using ChatGPT in the wrong way and all these other different AI tools at that time, because I was so inspired by one guy called Josh Braun, incredible sales trainer, sales leader. And I was like, I listened to his podcast all the time, and I was going to ChatGPT, write me a sales script based upon what Josh Braun would say if he was speaking to this demographic. And I was bewildered. I was thinking, this is incredible. It sounds exactly like him. And I was trying it on calls and it would work. But at the same time, I thought to myself, but that's not me. That's not the reason. I can't be me every single day if I carry on being that character. And then I thought to myself, okay, what's the better way to go and use this? And it's only recently that I've really started leaning into this, because I've started practicing writing for myself, using just like naturally Substack. I've got my own private Substack that no one knows about. It's the first exclusive anyone could find it. But I use it because I want to increase my level of performance of writing, because it makes you more articulate, helps you speak furthermore with personal branding. And the way that I've been using it, and I think a lot of people should start using it this way, is find people you're inspired by, have AI write up something, a topic or description or on that content piece, but make sure the final check is you going over it and writing it yourself based upon those implementations that come through. And I listened to an incredible podcast by a guy called Dan Coe, and he is he's a copywriter, a really incredible one at best. And he does this exact same practice with his own tools, where he'll go and find 5 people he's been really inspired by for the week on social media, on X, and find all their written content, their articles, etc., transcribe them, download them, so they sit somewhere, and then he can then go and pre-screen and go through all those different pieces and then write up his own version of what that says in his own words. Because personal brand is a massive thing. It's actually the one thing that I've put off for a long period of time, and unequivocally, I'm looking at now going, I am so silly for not taking too much attention towards this, because it's the only thing we're going to own, right? If information becomes too easy to capture because of AI, then who do we go to trust? Who can we go and like, if I look at, perfect example, Chris, if I want to find information about Norwich City, I'm going to go to Talk Norwich City. It's a simple thing to go and do. But I'm not just saying this because you're here, Chris. It's because I've known, liked, and trust and built that factor of authenticity to know that I'm going, well, I'm getting this from the right place and the right source. And it'll be the exact same with Gary Vee in the social media world, or if he's talking about all of his new discoveries, etc. I will always trust his point of view because of what he's built from a personal branding point of view. And that came from his own touch.
I'm with you on all of that. Maybe not the Talk Norwich City point, but no, I jest. Thank you, Ozzy. I appreciate that a lot. I almost feel like this conversation needs to come with a bit of a warning, doesn't it? Really, like it comes like with a warning on the tin, because we are advocating for AI and AI usage, but at the same time, really want to emphasize that piece around content. And we've spoken about this off air as well. To be transparent with our growing community here, I said to Ozzy, I said, look, mate, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to need to warn people here, because we know everyone knows someone on their LinkedIn where it's a ChatGPT, a really poor ChatGPT prompt. It's a copy, it's a paste, and it's been thrown out, and it's so not their tone of voice. It's so robotic. You can easily see the kind of key points of and so I just want to really kind of say, Ozzy, I'm really pleased that you've said adapt it, make it your own, and don't fall for that kind of copy and paste trap, because if not, we'll all end up sounding like each other, and that sucks.
Yeah. Who can stand out if we're all a carbon copy of one another, right?
Yeah.
That I remember when I was looking into the deep dive of personal brand or whatever it may have been, and I was thinking to myself, I can't copy someone because I'll only ever be number 2. If I copy someone's style, their substance, or what they do, I'll only ever be number 2 in that space to them, because I'm copying them officially. It's the exact same. I remember Stephen Bartlett talking about ages ago saying, actually, a spelling mistake sometimes can be a bit attractive. And how ironic is it to say that, right? In no world should that be an attractive thing to put in content.
Yeah, isn't it? I've someone, I can't remember who said it, but I love the saying, so I'm stealing it. The pendulum always swings the other way. Maybe it was Rory Sutherland. Anyway, I'm a big kind of believer in that. I'm seeing now people are not capitalizing at the start of sentences and things, which is incredible. Yeah. There's a really, really fantastic social media influencer and social media marketer, Annie, who I'm connected with on LinkedIn. She'll put a fake update in her copy so that anyone that uses AI to steal her content, she then knows, well, it's not true. So it's almost incredible that we're at the point now where we're almost adding in kind of like quirks. It's almost like wonky fruit. I don't know if you know about wonky fruit, Ozzy. Like, no. Well, what wonky fruit is now in supermarkets, so it's cheaper, and then it's like not perfect. So there's this world of imperfection that people are getting to. Anyway, I could go down that rabbit hole. Let's not go. Ozzy, let's bring this to like the real business world now. Okay. Yeah. Everyone's ramming AI, but can you go through, run over some examples of how a business could automate something, anything, everything? Just ramble, please, because I'm really, really keen to learn more. Because again, it's not just ChatGPT, right?
Oh, right, dude. The extent of what the tools are. So Claude's my kind of go-to, whether it's just a conversational, but there's a tool called Claude Code. And to most people, they'll think, oh, Claude Code, that sounds dangerous. I don't know anything about coding. All you're doing is you're speaking native English language to this tool, and it takes your sentences and turns it into code. So it then starts building stuff for you behind the scenes. So I work with an incredible man called Omar. Omar runs a school community, and for people that know what school is, a platform where you can go and further your education by you may pay for it, you may join for free, and you go and learn the style and how people go and do stuff. And what Omar teaches inside of this community is how we can get AI to work where it writes our SEO, so we can go and boost our status to get on the first page of Google. How you can go and build your own website by using Claude Code itself. And all we're doing all day long is we're just speaking to it in our keyboard right now, or we're just saying to it, okay, cool, can we go and change that header to increase the font size here? And can we go and then create a new article at the bottom here with some keywords that we know Google loves, and it will start ranking to get it higher and higher up in the search engine. And that's a really great use case scenario, because we look back into whether it's Spotify, it's Instagram, all these different apps were once made on code. And that was, for me, the real eye opener. I was thinking to myself, I can't go and build something impressive. Like, it must take ages to go and do these things. And I realized, well, it's all built on the same thing. You just got to start thinking intentionally of how you want to go and do it. And that's the next level of it. Okay. So that's where I'm using AI to then go, I don't know what I don't know AI, but by the looks of it, these websites all have this one particular thing where the button's quite big here. Why is that happening? What's the psychological reason of why that button would be big? It will feed me the answer saying, well, that's because it's going to increase the chance of someone seeing it and then clicking that button to then go and progress the next thing, which could be a funnel, it could be a form, it could be something. And you start thinking to yourself, okay, well, now I'm starting to understand how to use AI by asking it progressive questions. I don't need to know what the right question is, but if I can start asking it certain questions, it's going to get me to a place where I'm like, oh, I was looking for that answer. Now I know it. Okay, what's the next question I can ask? And how can we go and do stuff? So Claude Code's a really incredible tool that If you wanted to build websites, build apps, go and different extensions, or even just with your SEO, go and start to improve that so you can start be seeing by far more people.
That's a really, really good start, Ozzy, and I'm sure there's loads that you could advise people and consult, steer them into tons of tools and stuff. Forgive my ignorance. I'd like to kind of throw something pretty basic at you, Ozzy.
Yep.
Probably. I think it's basic anyway. Is it a sensible action for someone to take for a business owner to, this sounds a bit mad, upload their business into Claude? So, for example, if they were to upload into Claude PDFs, digital documentation, website literature, sales processes, marketing funnels, etc., marketing strategies, etc. Do you almost, as a business owner, is that worth your while to almost train up a tool such as Claude? And then if you were to ask it, right, you've got everything on my business, Claude, how can I use AI, or how can I, is that a good action, or is that a bad action?
No, it's a really sensible one. And the fear that everyone's going to have when hearing me say that's a sensible one is they're going to think, well, if you upload all your documentation on your business and I then go to my ChatGPT or my Claude and say, all right, what's Chris Reeve's business plan? How does he deal with these things? It can't relay that information because it won't have the trained understanding of Chris Reeve and his business plan.
Right. Okay.
Whereas what I can do, so for a really good example of this is recently me and Dad sat down together and we were like, right, sales audit. Dad, when he jumps on his sales calls, will always audit people. A really incredible way. It's a really smart way for anyone out there that handles pre-qualification calls. But beforehand, it was an Excel spreadsheet and it was really dated. And we thought to ourselves, okay, well, how can we go and bring this into the modern day? And we built it so the brand intelligence now understands exactly who sales cadence is, exactly what the questions he typically is going to ask, because we programmed to ask those questions. And when people start giving it a score rating between 1 to 5, the AI at the back end is working away to go, okay, well, if that's a 5 and that's a 4 and that's a 1, I can know what the average is, so I can give a really great understanding at the back end of exactly what the audit's going to give as a result. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't give it an understanding of exactly who Dad was, who his business was, and what he was trying to gain from this audit. So if you're a business owner out there and you're thinking to yourself, I'm really fearful of giving everything away because I've spent so much tiresome hours to build this business up, it feels almost guilty of me just to hand it away. You're not doing that. Don't worry about that. What you can do is, if you are too fearful about doing something like that, you may want to just give it some brief bullet points, or you can just say to it, here's my website link, go and scan my website to go and understand exactly what we do and who we serve and who's our ICP. And if there's anything that you don't understand, come back to me and ask those questions so I can give it to you.
This reminds me of social media marketing. Again, I'm sounding like an old boy now, but when that was kind of all kicking off, and when AI first kicked off, and ChatGPT was the kind of more broadly known tool at that point, I was quickly understanding that if you put crap in, you'll get crap out. And I fear, Ozzy, that so many people in the business world are putting in poor prompts without giving the tools the key information on their business. Yeah. And then what they're doing is like, oh, no, AI doesn't work for my business. No, it doesn't work for I'm giving it the information. I'm very pleased that you validated that with some insight. So thank you for that.
Chris, let's just real quick, let's stay on that. Honestly, let's stay on that point because it's a really important one. It's a question that I get asked all the time, or even a statement I get thrown all the time. Yeah, I used it once and it was rubbish. And I was like, my question to them is, the most incredible, most powerful tool in the world right now that just keeps getting better every day can't work for your business. Right. Okay. That's absolutely fine if that's the case, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It works for everyone else. So this is no plug, but I've got this tool on my Mac and I've got it on my phone as well called Whisperflow. Now, what Whisperflow is, I don't know if you've seen this recently with Stephen Bartlett and other people at the minute in time. I press down the bottom left key on my keyboard and I can speak into my laptop, and it'll then go and take my speech and turn it into text format for me. So if I don't know how to prompt and I don't know exactly what I'm doing here, when everyone says to me, you need the perfect prompt, which, by the way, for everyone that needs to know that, there's no perfect prompt. There really is no perfect prompt. What it comes down to is how much you're willing to give based upon the information you want to receive back. Like you say, if I'm going to give it some stuff that's pretty weak, then expect to get some weak stuff back. It's the same with a conversation. I'm stood at a bar with someone and I'm giving them no information. They're probably going to walk away from me in 2 minutes' time, right? That's the nature of the beast in normal conversation. So Whisperflow is incredible because I can just sit there, hold my finger down and just brain dump everything. And what Whisperflow does is if I say or I go, actually, you know what, forget that bit, say this bit, it cuts all the fluff out and just delivers it in a really important paragraph for you. And that's really important because I can then just ramble for as long as I physically want and give it all the information I want that's top of my mind, because we speak faster than we can type. Therefore, I can get all that information out as quick as possible. Wow. So then the AI then understands, okay, cool, I've got it, no problem at all.
Love that little quick win tooltip for people.
Honestly, yeah, anyone that's got a Mac or has got an iPhone, download the app. It's a life changer, I must admit. And really bad.
And just to be clear, Ozzy, you're not on some sort of paid partnership with them.
I wish. I tell you what, because the amount of people I've plugged this to, I think I would be quite comfortably doing quite well for myself if I was. So I need to give them a polite nudge. But they are really impressive.
No, good for you. I want to ask about kind of other tangible, real world examples, Ozzy, and maybe something that you've done when you've advised or you've implemented or you've actioned your consultancy around AI for a brand, for a business, for an individual. Could you share some examples of impact and how they've kind of gained from that?
100%. This will be a bit of a rogue one for people because I don't know if they'll know what it is, but a lot of the stuff that I've been spending a lot of time on recently is AI UGC content, which is going to sound really baffling, right? Because it's like everything that I've just said, don't use AI for. It almost sounds like I'm contradicting myself. But what AI UGC content is, I can create AI avatars that look so human-like. The speech, the lip sync is perfect to a point that I have brands at the minute in time, especially in e-commerce, that are reaching out to me saying, Ollie, I need X amount of these per month so we can go and use our ads, our social media posts. Because what we can do at this kind of stage right now is, if I know I can design an avatar, and when I say an avatar, it could look exactly like me or you, for example. Not that it does, but you can prompt it that way to and have that ability. I can meet a brand's ICP of who they're trying to speak to and make it look like them. So that trust factor is then built by looking like their audience. And then when we're writing the script, again, I'm just typing it out myself and I'm doing all these different methods, or if a brand wants to keep it and dictate what the script looks like, they can give it to me. And we're creating these 30-second to a minute-long videos that they can go and use as top-of-funnel content to bring in potentially a new customer or some new eyeballs towards their business. And I mean, I just had a conversation yesterday of an incredible brand, and they work with SpaceX, they work with Google, they work with Meta, Coinbase, all these incredible brands they work with. And it's the hot conversation they're having right now, which is, if we're just putting out written content, and in the current day and age right now, and we're all guilty of this, we doom scroll on our phone, or we prefer written content or her verbal content rather than writing it. Well, how can we lean into that audience? And instead of us spending £400, £500 on a human UGC creator where we can't have too much autonomy on what they do, if we can self-create these, then what we can actually go and do is spend that budget we would spend on human stuff on more human stuff. And this sounds really strange to say, show-like content. An incredible brand I'm just going to plug here. Sorry, I'm rambling on here, Chris, but Candy Kittens is really incredible. Jamie Lang runs Candy Kittens, right? What they've done incredibly recently is they've turned their content into a show. So I feel like I'm consuming this. I feel like I'm part of what they're doing. And that, for me, same with the overlap, it feels like a show rather than a podcast. So you feel endorsed by what you're watching. All of a sudden, that trust factor for me is built up incredibly more, where I'm buying Candy Kittens for some reason. It's the go-to choice. I'm going to Tesco's, I'm looking on the shelf there, I'm buying these things because I've just been like, I've consumed so much of your time. I'm now all of a sudden like, it's the first choice of action to have. So it's a cool way that businesses are doing things at the minute in time.
That's really, really interesting, Ozzy. Again, I have to use a warning label here, which is that that sounds great. I do fear that this might be poorly utilized by people that don't have access to your skills and expertise.
Sure.
And I fear that those videos might detract or not look like them, Ozzy. Am I speaking Swahili, or does that make sense?
You are 100% spot on.
Could you do this badly? I'm just very worried that we're sending people away to create AI videos of themselves, and then there's things that make people go, "Oh God, that's AI. That's not real." And I work. How do we get that right?
100%. You're 100% right to call it out. There's a lot of people, which is where the AI slop term comes in. So it's originated by people creating stuff where it's like, I'm just going to go and create this because it feels like that magic red button that's called AI. I'm just going to keep pressing it every single day and it's going to do stuff for me, right? It's so far from the truth. The reason why I bring that up is it's an alternative way that once brands get familiar of how they want to deliver content out, that's an opportunity to go into. But you're 100% right. If it was a first port of call, I would go nowhere near it, because you risk the opportunity, which if you wanted to clone yourself and make yourself look like that character, then I would argue the one port of call, which is, would it not be more beneficial, even though it takes more of your time up, to create that content yourself? Because that's the meaningful aspect that comes with it. And that's what I think it's very important. Whereas these e-commerce brands as such are purely dedicated on volume, and they're not front facing in the sense of they are not a face of a brand. They are a brand's name with a product as the whole heartbeat of what they do. So you can't really clone that one person because there's so many multiples that come with it.
I think this is like, we will probably end up having to do an episode 2 and 3, 𝗖𝗄𝗄𝗲. I'm really intrigued by the usage of AI to create creative video, imagery, things like that. And the reason why I think I'm on the side of the seesaw of being more skeptical and more concerned. Recently, X have brought in a really interesting option that's available to any user in the world, where they can see at the bottom of the image, it will have a little tag that says "made by AI."
Yeah.
Heads up, many of those images and videos that haven't been made by AI, they're still saying it's been made by AI because a really good designer has designed it, right?
Yeah.
I fear, again, I just fear. However, I think where the real value of, I mean, of course, there's value in the creative imagery, etc., etc. I love what you're doing, 𝗖𝗄𝗄𝗲, around workflows, around lead generation, around actually making profits for businesses, like saving people time. I think that is incredible. So again, it has to come with a warning label, but we're certainly not being AI deniers here.
Well, let's leak into that stuff. The workflows, lead generation stuff. It's really impressive. And it's actually, to be fair, the audience today, anyone that's watching this, will be able to take action on this kind of stuff, because we spoke about lead generation earlier, which is scraping leads and then how we then go and display that and put that content out there, right? If we use that as a hot topic, 𝗵𝗿𝗲 and 𝗄𝗶𝘁𝗵𝗲 are 2 different platforms, which are digital automation tools, where you can give it to go and find me 50 CEOs inside of Norfolk that go and work in healthcare, for example. And it's going to go and find me all those things in seconds. And then we go to the next factor, which is it can then go and set up those campaigns, which, again, we touched on earlier. We've got to be really careful. We're not getting AI to go and write that content that gets posted out. But what we can do is we can get it to work on automation, which is, if I spend a couple hours a month writing out 5 different email campaigns that I want to go and attract and go and get into the inboxes of different CEOs, whoever it may be, I can then set that up as a campaign and just leave it to go and do its thing. And I can guarantee it'll go and send all of those 5 emails out once per week, for example, or once every couple of days. That's a really good way of doing things, because you want your content and you want your message to be authentic to you, but you also don't want the nightmare of, like I said earlier, if that's the first thing on your list on a Monday morning, it's still there by Friday, you've lost a whole week of when you could have been speaking to people. So it's a really important way of doing things. Another really great use case scenario for workflows. We can lean into the SEO stuff, but I actually love the idea at the minute in time of articles are a really impressive way to boost key searches on your website. So you may be looking at your website today and you may think to yourself, I'm doing everything right, but for some reason, no one's seeing what I do. And I don't want to spend so much money on ads because I don't know how to work ads. I don't know how the meta library works. Same. I'm the exact same as everyone. I think to myself, what are quick ways that I can make stuff work for me? You can have AI write these articles and publish them on your website, which are hidden. No one sees them, or if they did see them, there's enough keywords in there that will start producing and pushing your content further up on the Google search engine, which ultimately means that if I was to search up today dog kennels in Norfolk, then I'd be like, hang on a sec, I'm going to trust the first one I see there, because all of a sudden in my mind, I think stature point of view, that first one must be the best one, the ratings must be the best. Well, you can organically now get yourself to that top of that search engine by having these articles written or these keywords inside of your website. And again, how did I know this? I just asked AI, what are these keyword searches that need to be put out there performing? Google Trends. I remember you sending this to me ages ago, Chris. Google Trends are a really important way for keywords and searches. We just take those words and we find AI. How can we then go and have these as published sites that can help us push forward?
You are, with every second and minute, 𝗖𝗄𝗄𝗲, you are continuously blowing my mind, and you're making me feel like a complete buffoon when it comes to my lack of AI knowledge. But that does lead me nicely on to ask you, 𝗖𝗄𝗄𝗲, where can people contact you? How can they get in touch? How can they get someone like you in their business to make impact through all of the advice, wisdom, and support you offer with AI?
I appreciate it. Yeah, so LinkedIn will be the best place, where exactly where this post will be today. Oliver Sykes will be the best place. There's nothing better than to ask a question. If you don't know what you don't know, then it's not a problem. That's what I'm here to solve. So ask me whatever you think. If you've seen value from today's call, there's questions you have, ask me there. When I first started out with AI, I had no clue what was going to help me and what it could do for me. But luckily for you, there's some shoulders here that you can rely upon to give you some good advice. X, it's Ollie Sykes over there, but the best place is LinkedIn here. It's where most of the content will start performing, because you've got the trusted hands of Chris Reeve helping me produce that furthermore.
Listen, guys, thank you. Thank you, Ozzy, for taking the time to share so much today. And I feel like you've nicely dangled the carrot, because we could have geeked out and gone really nerdy in kind of just one of those various areas that you've covered. Maybe we'll do that in time. You could well be a regular guest, because people need to make sense of this. I don't often do this, but I'm going to do it with you, Ozzy. It's very rare that I come across someone in business that's so selfless with their time, that's so genuine. And I almost feel like for you, Ozzy, you're like the genuine AI guy. And so there are so many business owners that will be tuning into this, and I just really want to action them now, to message you, because what you don't know about AI isn't worth knowing. And I definitely think that you're one of the good guys in business, and I'm really excited to see you thrive in the future. Ozzy, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, dude.
And thank you so much to everyone that's watching live, watching back, listening back. If you've enjoyed this conversation, you've got a question, just like Ollie has said, then please get involved in the comments section, ask away, and I'm sure he will take the time to get back to you. Thank you so much once again for tuning into A Coffee with Chris, and I'll see you this time next week for another